Good day, everyone, and welcome to the most amazing car audio show ever to be on the internet. 10 years running, it's Car Stereo Talk with your guest hosts. Oh, wait, no, with the real hosts. The guest hosts are hiding off screen right now.
Yeah, that is correct.
Hopefully they've gotten it figured out. But anyways, hi, I'm Dean. This is my buddy, Fernando. We do the show. We do it forever. And we have some guests that are going to be joining us today because it's Christmas time. And hey, nothing says Christmas like a bunch of guests. I say Christmas. I don't say holiday because, hey, it's my show. Welcome, everyone. And we hope you had a fantastic weekend. Did you have a good weekend?
I had a fantastic weekend. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it went by like that, right?
It was not a weekend. It was just one day.
I feel like I've just talked to the gentleman we're going to have on here because, like, we had to do podcasts last night. So it's like I can't get away from this guy. Anyways, and his dog and the silly dogs too. Wait, that was Scooby-Doo. We do this little thing called the 12-Volt Clean Wire Club. Some of you have heard of it before. Some of you may have not. You can follow it on Facebook, 12-Volt Clean Wire Club. We bring it to you here from DNF Tool Drawer, the place where you can find all your cool 12-volt tools. And every Sunday, Fernando scours the page to find something that is awesome that somebody did. And this week is no different. Where did it go? Yeah. There it is. Right there. It's right here. What do we have here? This nice Rockford system. Very nice. Do you know who did it?
Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob did that.
All right, There we go. So we got some terminals. I mean, it looks like it just drops into place.
Yeah, just
so
simple.
Super nice.
Nothing crazy. Yeah.
His workbench looks like mine, so there you go. That's cool. But yeah, no. So if you feel like you've done some amazing work, please post it in the 12-Volt Clean Wire Club, and we will. If it passes muster, Fernando will put it up there. If it doesn't, try again. That's all I have to say. It's amazing.
That's right.
So we're bringing Brand and Brad.
That's his new name.
It depends where you see it. It could be Brand, could be Brian, keeper of dogs, mother of dragons. Either way, and Brad. Everybody knows Brad.
Yeah.
We love Brad, and we're gonna have him on today from Arc Audio. For those of you guys that for some reason don't know, it happens. I mean, I don't know how it's possible, but we have him on, and I'm going to click here.
Boom.
And we can see if it works.
Hi.
Oh God, it works. Thank you.
Can you hear me though?
Oh yeah, we can totally hear you.
Okay.
I'm gonna go in and turn you down just a little bit because you're kind of hot. Okay, say something.
Hello.
All right. Let's go halfway. Okay. You good? We're good.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Look at Brian over there. Yeah, I'm good. He's got his glasses on his head. He's like
ready to go.
Total tech. So I'm going to do this because actually I think I have two. So there's another one here. Let's do this one. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Because it is a holiday. It is a holiday show. So if you guys don't know these two gentlemen, they work for this company called Arc Audio. Brad is in the comments all the time. Brian does a podcast with me, and they're a sponsor of the show, so that makes it so easy. And this year, 2025, was a busy year for the two of these guys. You guys came out with a lot of cool new products. Now, if you guys have any questions for these two people, by all means, go ahead and throw them in the comments. Fernando's going to be curating that, looking through there to see if we can come up with anything. But welcome to the show, guys.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
I'm just going to throw this out there because it's such a non thing.
Yeah. Everybody needs them until we make them, and then nobody bought them. So.
Do you guys? So you actually got?
Yeah, Brian has 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and the 2 that are in his car, he had 4. He saved 4.
Okay.
And he put 2 of them in his car.
And
remember, because there was supposed to be 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Then he realized he needed batteries.
Yeah, among other things.
Yeah, well, we can't talk about that here.
So there you go.
So how long ago was it you had 15s?
Oh, 16 years ago.
Yeah,
and they lasted until about 9 years ago. So 7 years we had 15s. One run. We didn't make a second run. Just one run.
Man.
Yep. And they were awesome sounding, loud. They do, obviously everybody's heard them in the car. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So actually Brian and I do a podcast. It's called Car Stereo Talk. You can find it on Podbean, my Facebook page, or Apple iTunes podcast. Oh, I like this. That's my dad.
I'm Morgan.
Limited edition series coming. I mean, I feel like everything is limited edition, you know?
Everything could be limited edition. We can sign it. We can do all kinds of things. Just takes people to buy them. That's all it takes.
Yeah, well, I mean, SE, for the longest time, it didn't occur to me what SE stood for, and it was Signature Edition, which makes total sense because Robert Zeff's name is on the amplifier, so I get a big duh. So
he
there's
signed
that.
everyone with a CNC machine.
That's how we do it. We drop them in the laser and I hit go. You know, just change the year. All right, so let's start out here. It was a real busy year. There was several big updates to the DNA software, and that is an ongoing thing. But who wants to fill us in on maybe some of that? Brad.
What, me? I don't know anything about DNA.
I think your daughter would disagree.
Yeah, we actually put on another full-time code guy just to write Windows software for us. And we've rewritten that thing 2 or 3 times. And just keep adding features.
So let's hit some of the big features that we added this year that we're still working on, but that we've added and we're still working on.
Oh God, what did we add this year?
Okay, so we added dynamic EQ
dynamic EQ limiters. There's a bunch of stuff on the backside that nobody ever sees. The super bass, the up mixer.
No, we had the up mixer more than this year. Yeah, we've had it since DNA came out.
I never use it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I was gonna say you never use it, so I'm the only one that's using it. But yes, a lot of the back end code that you guys kept rewriting, streamlined it. I personally feel that one of the strongest features is I can just rip the USB out of it as if I was mad. And
that's been a thing for us going back 10 years. Since I rolled over the USB the first time with my office chair and scared everybody in the office when it made noises.
Even the original PS8 auto saved.
Yeah, that USB driver and the way it recovers is so robust. You could drive pins through that USB cable. I don't care what you do to it. It's just going to work.
Yep. Then you just plug it right back in and it works again.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I figure with Mr. Happy sitting there next to you, Brad, you have to have that feature because he's just, choose violence all the time.
If it didn't auto save, I'd be throwing that.
Yeah. And apparently, I just learned that it has back. You can tab
undo
back
button.
Undo button.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's buried in the menu. I don't know.
Thank you, Phil. That's one of the things we added, but the traditional forward and back keys work.
Oh,
Command.
I don't know how many.
I think it's 100 back. You can actually go back 100 steps.
I forgot to open that the other night when I was driving home and adjusting my system from my laptop.
It really isn't. It's designed to go back 100 steps.
We're gonna find out.
It's designed to be used while you're driving. let's put that legal hat on. We do not condone use of that software while you are operating a motor vehicle.
Yeah, it's not fun. Yes, it does have dynamic EQ. It is interesting, and we'll know more. We're gonna dig deeper into that next 2026 because that is a new feature that is ongoing. I would feel. You and me, Brad, have talked about where that belongs. But yeah. So along with a bunch of updates to DNA, we got a bunch of boxes to put it in. So let's talk about some of those.
Well, we got the PS12 because everybody was saying that they wanted more channels, so we did a 12. And then when we were working on the 12, we said, we got a little bit more room over here. We might as well make a 16. So,
right.
You want a 16?
Yeah. So Brad's going to grab those real quick. We had this plan. We were going to have another camera and another computer, and then I couldn't find the foot for the camera. So now we're.
Everything went crap after that.
It always does. I mean, that's the joy of live. Yep. So there it is. So which one is that? The 12?
This is the 16.
Well, that's the beautiful thing. You can't really tell because
right.
There's the 12
and the cover.
There's the 8.
Same sizes, right?
Same size.
And which we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Oh, let's see who's faster. Dean or Brad? Let's go. Ooh,
oh, there you go.
Brad
won.
This will make more sense when we start talking about the rest of the stuff.
Exactly.
And Dean's got faster shoes than I do. I don't know how he managed not to beat me with that.
So there was a bunch of things that I think are really cool when we did the 12 and the 16. So we already had the PS8, and as you see, all the wiring here for input is on this side, and then you have more outputs on the other side. So this is an 8. And we said, well, what happens if somebody's going to upgrade from an 8? Because they've already had good luck with the or upgrade from the 8 to the 12 or 16. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when you put a new processor in, you have to redo the whole amp rack. And so why do we do that? Because the input section is the same. So that side of the amplifier stays exactly the same. So all your wiring that's already done, you can pop it out, and then all you have to do is just put in the more RCAs where you want them to go. So all the wires never have to be cut on any of the power wire or input or anything. So, that to me is a huge benefit whenever you're going, from, multiple DSPs. So you can actually try one. If it doesn't fit, then you can go back to your 8. Or you can go up to the 16 because you decide you want to go to the next thing, but you don't have to change anything because all the wires stay exactly the same.
One of the
processors
remarkable features of the new software is the file converters. So if you're upgrading from an 8 to a 12, you just open your 8-channel settings files. They'll still work. Everything will populate over. Yep. You'll just have 4 extra channels.
With the caveat that just like everything, if you're going from a very, very old file, the first 2 years ago,
right.
Sometimes if you have not been updating and you just start out with one that's 2 years old, you may have some glitches there because every time you do a file, that's why we always tell you to update as soon as you turn on the computer if you've touched it. If there's an update, do an update.
So before you take it out, you'd want to update the current 8 to whatever the latest 8 is, save that file, and then swap it to the 12 or the 16 and import that, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yep.
Ah, fantastic. That's easy enough.
Basic update stuff. You would do that with any sort of code-driven device.
Yep. Slow down there, Brad. Slow down. Okay. When you say basic and you're talking about computers here,
I'm not including myself in this. I didn't update my wife's car for like 4 years.
Well, it's your wife's car. Who cares?
Totally bricked that thing whenever I updated it to DNA. So
I could see that.
It's just like Windows files. Any Windows file that you use, if it's old, you may have some problems with converting it. All the DNA software, yeah, exactly. All the DNA software uses a Windows file system.
Yes.
So then we have those constraints against us. Whatever Windows does, we kind of have to follow. We get asked probably 10 times a day if we're going to write Mac software. And one of the problems that we have with writing Mac software is that it takes a long time to get the software approved. And every time you do an update, which we try to do, on the regular, you have to get it reapproved again. So you can't do just, regular. Now, there are some ways to get around that if you know somebody, but as of now, that's the reason why.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that knows anybody.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that knows anybody.
I know somebody. Damn it.
Anyway, so that is one of the reasons why we don't do Apple. At the moment, we don't do Mac software, and most of the companies that do Mac software don't do regular updates. They do updates once a year, once every 5 years or never. Yeah.
Just leave it on the table.
Yeah, leave it on the table.
If you are more competent with a Mac than I am, you could probably make it work. But
you can actually use it with Parallels, but that's just using a Windows program. If you use Parallels, it actually doesn't work too bad. Depending on if it has any of the drivers for it. Windows 11 now with Parallels works a lot better. Their driver system's better.
Fantastic. I think you can answer this one. Any word on bass knobs for Blackbirds? They come back replaced by new ones?
So the Blackbird is got an LR1. It doesn't have a bass knob technically. It's an LR1, so it's an adjustable knob. And yes, those are back in stock with an LR2 that has been replaced from an LR1 to an LR2.
What is the difference, Brian?
Well, let me tell you. LR2 is for the guys who have 16 channels of DSP and 16 more channels of DSP, and you want a master volume control or a master bass knob. So, or master rear fill. You can attach this to both DSPs, and as long as whatever the relative volume is, it goes up and down the same. So,
you mean like a Y splitter?
So it has a Y splitter?
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
It can control two DSPs at the same time.
It's a little more complicated than a Y splitter, but yes, a Y splitter. And the advantage for that is if you're doing some of these really big multi-channel systems and you need a master volume control, really right now all you can do is just use a RCA volume control maybe for input. This way you can do true 32 channels with 2 DSPs if you needed to.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
That doesn't work with the controllers, and there's going to be a new controller because the PSC is now out of date and no longer available. So
it's a sad day, Brian. It's a sad day.
It could be.
And it goes to 11.
It is always important to update the firmware whenever possible. If anything's working fine for you now, then you probably don't need to update the firmware, but we do recommend that you go in for periodic updates. Go in and see your cool stereo installer, or have somebody walk you through it.
Yeah, I don't recommend any of that. I don't want anyone to. If it's working fine, leave me alone.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Bingo! High five, Brad.
But if you want to take advantage of one of the cool new features,
nobody wants to do that, Brad.
We've made update as robust as we can.
Yeah. No, for sure. This year we got a ton of updates. Okay, so
more coming.
We won't talk about that, but we could. That's entirely up to you. So along with the DSP, obviously, let's talk a little bit about copper, because I feel like copper was copper is and was the big boom. We got that at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
We've had a year with it. You guys put a lot of energy into it.
Yeah, well, we've been working on copper for a couple of years, and the copper replaced SE. So SE was getting dated looking. Performance wise, it was still what we consider the best amplifiers on the market still, and that's been 18 years on the market. And we needed something that was maybe a little bit better looking, because the cosmetics on it had changed over the years. So we had some things that were better, that we could do to make it a little bit better size wise. So this here is what was 4.4. This used to be the size of the 4200, which was another 6 inches, 5-6 inches long. So we've shrunk that up. It's the the power supply is, you know, a little bit more efficient than it used to be. And then we spent a bunch of time on making it look nice. So we had a basic shape, full billet heatsink. So that's all one piece of billet. When you take this part, it's not two pieces that are bolted together to make it cheaper. This is one huge chunk of billet, and it's got a lot of CNC work on it. And then the color was, you know, we were talking about color. Are we going to make it blue? Are we going to make it black? Are we going to make it white? What are we going to do? And I had this idea a few years ago to build a car, and that car was the Bolt, and I had copper plated the SEs in there, and that would have been great. We would have just gone on with another color, except it took me so long to finish it. And as it was getting finished, copper was getting finished at the same time. So how do we tie in the car that has SEs? Because they said, you know, first thing they says, oh, we got coppers coming out. When are we going to change the amps out in the car? Well, I built this amp rack that was had cooling and everything else built into the amp rack, and it could not accommodate the new amplifiers because they cool from the top where the old SEs cooled from the bottom. So unless I wanted to flip them upside down or something, it wasn't gonna be any helpful for cooling. So we said, how are we gonna tie these two together? So color was the, you know, determined at that point to make this copper, which ended up looking amazing. You know, so.
And of course, there was a debate over the color.
Well, there was a debate over how much copper we wanted to put on there. Yes, and the end plates kind of were polarizing. Some of us liked silver, some of us liked copper, and so we couldn't figure out which one we wanted to put in there. You know, a copper end or a silver end. So we ended up just putting both end plates in, and that gives some people a little bit more choice when they want to customize it, because no matter what color we make, people are going to want it a different color. They're going to want to color match it to their car, or they're going to want to make some other thing.
Yeah, or they just any black. They want black, which is the copper logo.
No matter what we do, yeah. You can powder coat it. You can powder coat it black, because this centerpiece comes out. So if someone wanted to take that apart or send it to us, we, you know, for a small fee, we'll take it apart and they can send it out and get a powder coated whatever color they want, and then we can put it back together.
Spray it with some Krylon.
Put some Krylon on it if they really want to.
Melt some crayons.
Crayons. It, like I said, it was just guaranteed that no matter what color we made it, somebody's going to want to customize it. So we are known for that. So you can customize the end plates. You can take the centerpiece out. This is not real copper. This is a copper plating, colored anodizing. So if you were to buff this out and try to polish this copper, it would turn into this silver.
But isn't even the silver an anodized silver?
No, it just has a clear coat on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it has a clear coat on it. If you polished it, you could polish it out, fully polished, which is I'll have that in a car here coming up pretty soon. So
easy killer.
And you can have a polished end and then, you know, copper there. But, you know, if you, we put a lot of thought into install on all of the products that we do, just like I said with the processor. You know, when you're putting an install together and you want to have,
you get that word, Jones?
And you want to have all your wires in the middle, now you got a logo that's upside down, right? So we made it so you can take the end plate out, that slides out, and you can flip it around. So now your logos are lined up. So if you want to have power wires on both sides, you can have the logos lined up. And not every amplifier, you know, they think about that. Sometimes they just make a black box, so it doesn't matter which way you put it. But we like our logo as much as it's hard to line up sometimes.
Now, this being the flagship amplifier, what makes this, like, what's the topology of it? What makes it so amazing? What, you know, engineer nerdy stuff.
Yeah, Class AB. Again, you know, we went from an SE, which is still considered, you know, if it's not the best sounding amplifier ever, it's the second best sounding amplifier ever, and that's just because they haven't heard ours. But it was designed in a time when there wasn't DSPs, so it had a whole bunch of extra stuff on it. We had 24 dB crossovers that you could adjust. We had bandpass capabilities. You had all of the stuff that nowadays you're doing with the DSP. And one of the main things that people ask us to mod on them when we have someone asks for modifications was to take all that stuff out. So we didn't want to take it out completely. So we slimmed down the amount of crossovers that are in there. And then we put a switch on there. So instead of having to take it out of the amplifier, you can turn it off and it completely eliminates that out of the signal chain. Okay?
Totally
It's
bypasses.
Totally bypasses it. It just, copper goes in a different direction at that point.
I couldn't do it any better with a soldering iron.
So and you couldn't take that crossover out any more than what we've done. So we got that. We have Tiffany connectors. We have lots of things in there. Fan cooled.
I spent a year just playing with different parts, digging back through our catalog of parts we hadn't used in a long time and retrying them
and listening to them and saying, hey, this part sounds better than this part. And it's not just some guy in his garage listening to stuff. We have people that know what they're listening for, and we're listening for those details. Is the imaging wandering, which happens sometimes on an amplifier when you fire it up cold or when it gets hot. Ours don't change. They stay the same whether they're hot or cold. They're all that stuff is kind of baked into the design. So it just
bias had a big impact on that. Oddly, we spent a lot of time just working out you drive it too hard into Class A and it didn't image, and you back it off a little bit and it imaged great. And so
lots
really,
of
it was a lot of time.
Lots of tweaking on bias, because everybody thinks, oh, more bias is great or less bias is great. There's only two rules of thumb there that most people have. And you have some of the European amp manufacturers that say no bias. They're totally against bias. And then you have a lot of old school manufacturers that go heavy bias. I want as much bias you can put in there before it shuts off. And we found that there's a middle point there. That it's not too much and it's not too little.
So and that brings up an interesting point, because I don't know if a lot of people realize this, because you keep mentioning modding amplifiers and stuff like that, and that is, you guys actually have staff there that you're capable of doing that in-house. Like,
dude, my office looks like a bomb went off in it with amplifiers torn apart all over the place.
Yes, we know.
We have a full production facility here. It's smaller. We're not producing most of our stuff here, but as an example of what we do with it is, if a company, any company, ours or anybody else in the past, not ours because we've always had this capability, has a problem with a piece of electronics. Okay, it doesn't really work with us for speakers, but electronics. Generally, they just sell it until they're out of those products, and they go, oh yeah, that one might have had a problem, and we'll comes back, they'll swap it out for a new one. If we see a problem develop that's reoccurring, let's say there's bad capacitor, which happened to Samsung a few years ago, where Samsung got a whole bunch of bad capacitors, and they had TVs just blowing up in people's houses, and they just horrible,
including mine.
So if we had a product that we saw that there was a problem, we would quarantine that whole order, and we would bring it into production, and we would figure out what the problem was and then fix it before it ever went out. So even if there was a problem, we would have that fixed. And so those problems are very short-lived, and then they just disappear. And it's one of the reasons why we have such a reputation of having amplifiers that don't fail. I mean, everything fails, but we catch it so quickly that it almost seems like it's that it doesn't happen. So we're still a small company, but we have a lot of pride in what we do. So when you get an RA, a return authorization, because something breaks, and actually it's when something's not working like it's supposed to, because I have to put that in there, because a lot of the stuff that comes in here is not actually broken. It's no problem found.
Almost 50%.
Yep. So that happens for most companies. People don't know how to work it, or they have some other problem that's install related or something. But the RA that's generated by when you do an RA for us goes to Brad's office, goes to my office, and goes out to RA computer. And then anything that's software related also goes to Robert Zeff's email. So that just doesn't happen in most companies.
Right.
You know, we are all the way through the chain of command. It's taken care of like that.
It doesn't go into the trash can. It goes to Brad's desk or one of the other engineers' desk, or it goes to one of the, and it could end up on Brad's desk. And we've talked before where you've actually had the amplifier part on your desk and you're talking to the customer going, tell me again what is going on. Cause we've got the guts all over the place and we're looking at your amplifier and we're just not seeing it.
We do autopsy. Something goes sideways. Well, we tear it apart and try and figure out what the root cause, what they did wrong.
And we don't ever just say there's no problem found and send it back. I mean, lots of companies will just send it back and you go, did anybody even look at it? So it'll go through a burn-in test and someone will say, okay, it's good. We can't find a problem with it. So we'll call the customer and say, what was the problem that you're having? Because we can't find that problem. And if it's some noise that, maybe comes in at 20 minutes, that's a something that happens sometimes with electronics is a part will get too hot after a duty cycle, after it runs for a certain amount of time. And we're able to say, okay, we'll go burn it on the bench and go, oh yeah, we found that. Or no, maybe it's your electrical system. Maybe your battery is just dying. So you have more, low voltage, generates more heat. And that was one of the ways that we started doing start stop is we started, when that became prevalent in a lot of cars, we were getting calls that, sometimes the amplifier would shut off. And so we would, we had a few customers that were having that problem and we would mod an amplifier to see where we could get those voltages at so you wouldn't have that problem. And we would send them to them and they would send them back to us saying that one didn't work or, we'd be in constant contact with them. So, that's there's just not that many, not that many companies that spend that amount of time.
And so all of that equates to, we got some really awesome coppers that came out this year. 3 amplifiers in the line right now.
Right.
Brad.
With another
right now.
With another one coming next year. So.
Oh, okay. So Brian spills the beans.
One other thing that we do here is we build most of our own prototypes. Sometimes the guys up in Nicole will build them, but we build most of our prototypes here in house. So I just approved the board on that one on Friday. So
what is that one, might I ask? Or are you going to tell us?
Well, I know what the thing. It's about it's an amplifier, makes music louder.
See this guy, I swear.
It's a 6-channel amplifier.
6-channel.
Oh my God, dude! Just like get the duct tape.
I'm okay with it.
Mute him.
Just like we took the 4-channel,
and
put it in that heat sink and added 2 channels to it.
There you go.
Okay. That's good. That's cool.
Is that we wanted 2 in this heat sink, which is the same size as the 4200 and the 2300, which is our traditional amplifier setup. And now more power is even better. So we wanted something in this heat sink. And, we went back and forth on whether to have a 6-channel or just a bigger 4-channel. And we figured that not everybody wants to do left and right amplifiers like we recommend. So a 6-channel, you could do a 3-way front and then a big amplifier to base. If you're running a 24 or a big, couple 18s, you want to have that extra power to do that.
So we're not skimping on parts. We're not going, oh, well, if we just use a smaller part here, we can cram it in and we'll make it fit. There's enough parts there to drive this amplifier with sine wave into resistive loads until the fuses blow, and you won't hurt it.
Don't do that.
Challenge accepted.
I do it so you don't have to.
I'll do that. One's off the wall or going in the car. Let's find out if there's air.
We do feel pretty confident, but
every one of these things before it leaves the factory floor gets that test.
Okay.
Wow.
Someone at front stage better upgrade to a Falcon to be able to bridge additional channels.
Just for more power.
Just for more power.
Um, okay, no, not really, because it's not really an answer I can give you a for sure yes or no on, because it depends on the setup.
Segue into that.
Yeah. So
Falcon. Well, it depends on what he's running now too. Like if he's got a,
he's got a Blackbird.
He
It's
has
Miguel.
Blackbird.
oh, okay,
He's got a Blackbird and a Nighthawk.
okay.
So technically, yeah, you could bridge a couple of channels, but it would be a little bit less power to the tweeters. I'm not sure that would be as good of an upgrade as I would say that'd be worth it. I would probably stay with what he has.
But I want more, Brian.
I'd take advantage of those outputs and throw a big 4-channel on it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say that it would be better to do 2 Nighthawks to mid bass and then bridge everything else.
Okay, there you go.
I like that.
Yeah. That works for me.
Mhm.
I mean, I was thinking about that. So
Yeah.
If you could bridge each, I mean, you'd have an incredible amount of power then. I mean, but it would be enough power that you would actually notice the difference versus just.
Cough, staggered. Okay, so let's talk about
we don't have to stagger. If you put enough power supply in these things, you don't have to stagger shit. You just run.
Here we go.
Okay, Brad, tell us more.
You don't need no smart power supplies. You just put a big enough supply in it.
Yeah,
Which gives you a smart power supply.
Yeah, because like when we were talking about early on, when we were talking about the power on the Falcon, you called me a couple times and we went over things, and finally you resolved to yourself, like, screw it, we're just gonna make them all the same channel powers. It's gonna be big. It's just gonna be this.
Yeah, it would run it. It ran all 12 channels at 2 ohms with sine wave. We've never had a failure.
I'm trying
make
really
the power
hard.
supply 30% bigger than it could ever possibly need to be, and you have a good amp. It's when you start trying to make, something this big that you have to start worrying about, well, these channels are 15 watts for your tweeters. And
we make real power supplies. It's one of the Robert Zeff's earliest, thing that he made, and he's been known for his power supplies. So his power supplies are very, very good. They don't skimp on parts. When you're looking at a D-class amplifier and you look at ours versus other people's, and I don't care about other people's really, it's just, ours are robust. They make power. So again, when you take one apart and it's similarly powered, you go, wow, that doesn't even look like a power supply compared to ours. So
yeah. I mean, you can't take them apart. There's no room to get them apart. You guys cram so much stuff inside of one of those. I mean, you take the back cover off and you go, well, trust me, there's something in there. It's just solid. Brian, why don't you give your spiel on why you recommend a left and right amplifier?
So the biggest reason for left and right amplifiers is stereo separation. And we're talking about, when you're building a race car and you're going to put some part in it, it's not that part is going to make such a huge difference that it's the end of the world. But when you're building something and you want it to be the biggest, baddest thing in the world, you do all the little things. And stereo separation doesn't make a huge difference, but it does make a difference. And depending on the car, it can make more difference than others. So I like to use a separate left amplifier and right amplifier, so I never have any left signal going into my right signal amplifier. There's crosstalk in every amplifier. There's a spec for that, and again, you're probably never going to hear the difference. But when I build stuff, I'm building it to a very high level, and so just one of those things that I do. I use the Blackbird in my truck, and it does just fine. So it's not like it's the end of the world not doing it one way, but that is the reason for it. You just have to match outputs just like you would left and right channels if you had separate gain controls on a channel. So you put a tone in and you match them, you get them as close as you can.
There you go.
So talking about badass cars.
Question for Brian. What does it feel like to be the king of SQ competitions? Ooh, wow. Dang.
I would say the Joker of.
Better than being
Not
the
sure.
Joker.
Not sure king is the right word, but
the-
Joker might be.
The court gesture, yeah.
So, how many championships do you won this year?
So 6 more if you count the best of shows. So we just got a ring in from Iasca. We got the Mecca ring in. So we got the championship in Mecca, championship in Iasca, championship in Emma, and a championship in MASQ. We got the sound quality best of show in Mecca, install best of show. We got MASQ best of show, and
So we
Emma
just
best of
drink.
show.
We just drinking like that.
So Brian looks like Liberace now with the rings. He walks in with
He's out of fingers. He has more rings than he has fingers for.
Yeah,
So.
he walks in. He's got his little flowing cape on. He's like, "I'm gonna play the piano for you guys. Ooh, look at me, yeah, baby."
I wish I could take all the credit, but I got lots of people behind me that take some of my crazy ideas and help me make them come true. So,
or next to you, it's just next to you,
or next to me, yeah. Everybody here has a hand in it, so it's it's always something. And I got lots of friends that help too. So, new DSP controller with screens for old guys. No, get glasses.
Boom. Okay, let's just do that right there. Problem solved.
We are simplifying things so that we can use a bigger font.
Justin, I wish I could make the font bigger, but I can't because I can't see either. That's why I got glasses on my head. It's just when you put it in the dash, it's difficult to make it much bigger than that. Otherwise, it's going to be a huge, display that you're gonna.
10-inch tablet for a controller.
Anything on a dial for tone, bass, volume, rear fill adjustment, not the DRC one of the without a touchscreen.
Well, if you wanted one of those, then you could use the LR1. To be able to have something that you can do all of them on would be very difficult. I guess you could have a button that went to stuff, but it gets confusing. We've looked at that, trying to find a way to not have a screen on it because it would make things much easier. But
honestly, it didn't pass cost analysis. You were like 80% of the way there. Why not just add the screen?
There you
I
go.
guess we set the back, but it really, that's the reality. Most of the same parts are going to be there: microprocessor, the knob, back switch. All you're looking at is the screen.
To answer the question, I think that we all have our strengths. I work for Arc Audio, so I'm a biased answer. I think we're every bit as good, if not better, at most things. But with that being said, there's sound signatures for electronics and speakers, and I love Morel. I know tons of people that like Auto Tech Fisher's their layout of their DSP software. So saying that we're better, in my opinion, is just me talking because it's.
And I would say, like, we went to these SQ competitions, and they use different manufacturers, but they also using your product. So you guys are a lot huge. Yeah.
I mean, we've been in the SQ world for a long time, even before I was out there. Again, Demetrius was in there a long time. I did a long time ago, and Demetrius there longer than that. And Brad has been involved in that since the early days as well. So we look at things just a little different, and we're not trying to take over the world as much as it looks like it sometimes. But we try to make good products for people and train them how to use them, and that kind of flows over to more people using our stuff. Even if they use something else about other people's. So we may get people that use our amplifiers and use somebody else's DSP. They may use our DSP and somebody else's amplifiers. And then speakers is kind of all over the place because there's sound signatures with speakers. So I love the way Morel's sound, and they're really good company. So I would be hard pressed to say something bad about them, other than they tune differently than ours. Which we, had a conversation.
So let's speaking of tuning, speaking of amplifiers, Brad is patiently holding the new Falcon. The Blackbird is just a freak show of an amplifier, and in the most positive way. And we got a part two to it, or a big brother, or call it whatever you will. We got the Falcon.
More channels.
Brad, what makes the Falcon?
If you need rear fill,
Okay.
you got your extra rear fill channels.
So how many channels is the Falcon?
The Falcon is 12 channels of amplification and 16 channels DSP, so you have 4 extra channels. So on the Blackbird and the Falcon, you have extra 4 channels. So if you wanted to do the companion amplifier, the Nighthawk, you can add those and keep the cosmetics the same. Or if you wanted really big power and you want to do like a 2500, an X2 2500, you can. Going back to install, just because they're sitting here, we did the same thing here. So if someone made an amp rack and they had enough room, and they already had a Blackbird and they wanted to go to the Falcon, all the wires line up still. We just added another plug for the extra outputs.
Picking that up real well.
That explains the extra plug. I don't know why you've never told me that, because I've cussed at that plug. Makes sense now. I feel better.
Yeah. You drop it in, you plug in the 8 channels, and you go, what do I do with these other 4?
The powers over years.
If you're into that kind of stuff,
if you know that kind of stuff.
We're from California. I'm very open-minded.
So one of the things that really sets the Blackbird and the Nighthawk and the Falcon apart is that when they were designed, all the channels can be bridged. They put out full power. They don't have really any thermal rollback like most of the amplifiers do. If they do, it's because there's something broken, and then it might protect itself like that. But very little of that, just to keep it running. They run a little warm because there's a lot of power. It's real power. So,
and it's 12 channels, and Class D amplifiers burn off a lot of their idle power in just heat. So they warm up, and then they just sit there at that temperature all day.
Yeah, hot.
So one of the reasons for the size is for the OEM integration portion to it, right? The convenience of installation and.
So the Blackbird especially. So when the Blackbird was when we were looking at this, it was originally the PSA 50, and then there were some things that I didn't like about it, some things Brad didn't like about it. So we said, let's change some of those things around. Mainly that button on the side for the bridging, and that was before we had 12-channel DSP written. So Robert hadn't written the 12-channel DSP, so we didn't have that available. We only had 8 channels of DSP available. So if we wanted to do 8 channels of DSP and have bridging and everything else, we had to do some things differently. But we used the BMW amplifier as kind of the maximum size for this. So you could drop that in because that's one of the most popular amplifiers that gets replaced because of water damage in the back.
Okay.
Older beats.
Makes sense.
So we had to pick a size. We used that one as our base for it. And then even the Falcon can fit there, but that's more in the Mercedes size, with the amplifier for the old Mercedes, the Mercedes that's around 2015, 16s. That fits in right where that fits in. So I think the Falcon will still.
I just want to know when the aircraft carrier is coming out, Brad.
That'll be the 2500.
What was that when you were asking for? Was it something like
a Falcon and 2 Blackbirds, man, or 2 Nighthawks? Falcon, those 3 amps. Yeah, Falcon and 2 Nighthawks.
Just so everyone knows, there will not be an F-35.
Why is that, Brian?
There's a reason for that, and the reason is that they have that name patented everywhere.
Trademark up one side and down the other. And I was just work and say, because it's stealth and you'll never see it.
Yeah.
But
but yeah, no, we had to even the Falcon took a little bit for us to come up with a name that matched that, that kind of name strategy. We had to go to Falcon, and it's not Fighting Falcon, because Fighting Falcon has a
trademark
thing on it for electronics. So
there you go.
The F-35, everything with the F-35 is trademarked with any kind of electronics or games or anything.
Models, patches,
yeah.
So we talked about the size of the Blackbirds, and this year we got because everyone was always like, I want something that's bigger or prettier, blah blah blah. But this year we got an X2 808.
We did. So the X2 series amplifiers are, that's kind of been the bread and butter for regular amplifiers, non-DSP. And we were getting some people that were putting in Blackbirds, but putting in X2 bass amps, and they asked us to match it. So we did the 808. And because that's our regular line, we wanted to make it even a little bit more cost effective than the Blackbird, which is a tremendous value when you look at what the cost of the standalone DSP is versus an amplified DSP. So the 808, we wanted to make it a little bit more cost effective. So we looked at it, and there were some things that we could do to save some money and drop down the price. One of those was that we don't offer the controller port for it. We don't offer the Bluetooth port, which are very expensive ports on both of those to make. It's a little bit less power than the Blackbird, but we still have coaxial digital, which even the Blackbird doesn't have. You have to use an adapter for, and optical in, and then all of the software is the same. So we didn't have to amortize out the software cost in this amplifier like we did the other amplifiers. So that had the benefit of keeping that more cost effective. But it's about a third less power in real power terms. About a third less power than a Blackbird.
It's about a third less money too.
90.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it was everything about it was trying to get it to, we already had the heat sink tooled. We just had to cut new lengths for it. It didn't match up for the other ones, but everything was tooled. So there's lots of things that come into play on when you're pricing something, and nobody wants to lose money on their when they're selling a product. So you have to factor all that in. Lots of companies will go, oh, we don't have to worry about that, and then all of a sudden they're out of business one day. So you try not to be like that.
I was going to say, the guy sitting next to you, I think will prohibit most of that, because we know how he's over there going, shine it, baby, shine it. Sorry, that's $20. That's 20 cents out.
Yeah, we knocked a bunch of the features off of it. The controller's gone, the Wi-Fi board's gone.
Right.
The VTM port is gone. Anything that has a digital bus that connects to the outside world, you got to spend some money on parts to protect that. Can you imagine what just, zap, and you hit the wrong place on this thing would do without a whole bunch of isolation?
And that is
absolutely
the nerd. Yes.
So,
nerd talk. Okay. So
TDS diodes and all kinds of cool stuff.
So this is bringing down the entry to an ARC Audio DSP significantly. What's not in here is a 6 to 8.
Well,
that's what we're going to segue into.
That's where I was going next, was because I think one of the most exciting pieces this year is the new PS 6 to 8, because it hits an incredible price point for you guys. Feature-wise, it gets you into the full suite of DNA software. It's iData compatible. It's small. It's by comparison. And the price point is fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about how we did that.
Stripped out all the stuff here. Ooh, look at how much money that saves us. Hey, now we have a DSP.
We also use the tooling from the original PS8, which we had already paid for and amortized out years ago. So we already had all of this tooling done that was just sitting there. And a lot of times when you make something, the tooling just goes in the garbage. And we're kind of frugal. We keep that tooling for as long as we can. We still have most of the toolings, like we did a run for Anniversary Edition CXLs. So, we think about that stuff. So we saved a whole bunch of money on tooling. Even the metal on the back plate, we had one new stamp that needed to be made, and some new, artwork. And that cut down the thing significantly. We also, like he said, we took out some of the parts from the PS8 Pro. But again, a lot of the reasons why we could make these two pieces here was because the forward thinking on the software. So we made the software compatible with everything. So we only have to write software one time. The software automatically detects the product and then reconfigures it to match the product. So if you get comfortable using the basic software, this is not something that's normal. Normally when you start using the entry level product, when you move up to something more expensive, you got to learn everything new again. No, it just reconfigures for more channels. All the capabilities basically are still there except for hardware. So that saved us a significant amount of money. And now we're almost at the price point of where some of the real entry level DSPs are with a real true good DSP. And I mean, it's just, again, it's unheard of, but it's also a testament to the thinking here of looking forward. All this stuff happened, 2.5 years ago when we first started this. So we had to have this thought, during COVID, when everybody else was just throwing product out there, that we needed product for when the economy is not so good and everybody's not spending all this money. And we were forward thinking on that. So, one of the big compliments I get from other manufacturers and people in the industry is that we are releasing products that are timely and we're not making anybody mad because they just fit into a category. They fit into a category. They fit into a category. And not a lot of companies are thinking that way. They're either going back to the drawing board because everything they got's too expensive and they're trying to make something cheaper and now they can't.
Well, speaking of the future, 2026, as we all know, is right around the corner. Are we expecting, are we going to have a Grand Slam year? What do we got around the corner? I mean, other than a 6-channel copper. Thank you, Brian. Are we expecting more stuff? That's 25 was a hard year to top.
There's at least 2 more DSP amplifiers in the works.
Okay. Boom. There we go. See?
Yeah, we expect to have a similar turnout. Maybe not quite as much, but close. And everything is going to fit together like a big puzzle. So that's the bigger thing is that.
That's what ARC releasing head units next year.
No.
No, actually, what they're working is on the 15-inch right now.
So.
Yeah.
It's going to be this big.
Yeah. So one other thing before we wrap this up is the room you guys are in was one of the biggest accomplishments that the two of you knocked out this year. That is the new ARC Audio Training Center. So let's talk about that for a couple minutes. What was the thought there? What do we got going on, and how do people go?
So again, one of the things that we started thinking about a couple of years ago, and it wasn't really able to get put into action because you got so many other things with COVID and everything else. So everything has a time and a place. So we were going, what is going to take to get more adoption of our DSP, but more importantly, DSP in general to the general public, because now at least a third of our line is DSP products. So we were going, what are we going to do? How do we sell more DSP? And really it came down to we need to educate dealers, even end user consumers, team people on how to use DSP, ours especially, but just in general. So we looked at the floor plan here and we said, we have this space that we could move some things out of and we could repurpose it. This used to be kind of a storage room for cars that were here and, some place for some people to look at some stuff, but it really wasn't as nice as what we wanted. We also wanted something that wouldn't mess up our day-to-day business. So it wouldn't stop. Whenever you have a training at a facility, a lot of times everything in the facility stops while you're having that training. And I didn't want to have that happen. Brad was like, oh, we still got to do business. We don't want to stop shipping for the day. So we had this space, and we closed it off, and then we refurbished it. Painted the walls, cleaned up all of the holes where the old stuff was. And then I had this idea of behind us, this is a sales tool, but it's a history lesson. It shows us where we started at and then where we're at and all the steps in between for each product line. And everybody was like, that's great and everything else, but how does that work? And then when we put it together and we got backlights, which is a little hard to see, it's a little washed out with the lights. It glows. It brings people to it because everybody likes glowy, flashy lights, and inevitably everybody asks the questions. And so you get some education, you get a story, you get all of the things that we want our dealers to have, and you don't even actually realize that it's happening. And that's all by design. We have TVs all the way through. We have a listening area so we can do actual listening training in-house right here. And then we have a spot next door for doing OEM integration training, in-car listening, all the things that go along with that. So a one-stop shop for all of the stuff. Now, we're not the first ones to do trainings. Obviously, JL's done an awesome job with their school, their training thing. But having something that is dedicated, that we're not moving stuff out of the way. This is here all the time. If I want to have a training, I can have one that day. Somebody comes in and says, I don't understand something. I bring them over here. I can do it. I have all the stuff laid out. I have lesson plans. I have everything set up. So all that stuff just kind of is a new look on something that's been around for a while. And they can take all the training. Anybody who takes the training can take that training and use it on anybody else's products as well. So we don't, we're not saying you have to do this way. We go, this is what a crossover does. Whether it's ours or somebody else's, crossovers don't change. They're just in a different spot, and how you use them might be a little different. So that was important to me because, if you bring everybody up together, then customers get a better job, at the end. Dealers are more excited about staying in business. They don't get sued because they screwed up somebody's car. To me, it's looking at the industry and saying, this is what everybody should be doing. And it takes somebody else to, somebody to start. So I'm hoping by, 2 years from now, lots of manufacturers have something like this, and you come in and you get trained, and, you can do all that. So.
Well, thank you for that. One last question before we go. This gentleman here says, thank you. Would love to hear Arc Audio products here in Arizona. Where do I go? Is there a dealer locator on arcaudio.com?
There is a dealer locator. If Arizona is kind of a hit and miss area for most manufacturers, us especially. So if you go to arcaudio.com, go on the dealer locator. If there's not somebody there, you can always call in and ask Lisa if there's a dealer someplace that maybe hasn't made it onto the dealer locator yet. But if not, then what I recommend is going to a local show, and that's really a good place. At some place we'll take over the world, and there'll be lots of dealers, and you can go into every dealer and know Arc Audio. But as of now, it's still just like lots of high-end manufacturers. It's it's a little harder, and even with that, you might go into a store and they might not have something to listen to. Not all stores have demo boards anymore.
For sure. That is definitely the way the world works now.
Yep.
Well, guys, listen, thank you so much for taking time out of your hectic day to, because it is 3 there, where it's 6 here. So thank you guys so much for putting it together and coming on. And thank you guys so much for supporting us with the show. And we love working with you guys, as everybody knows. I'm excited to work more in 2026. It's not going to get old. We got tons of stuff coming out. It's going to be fun. Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Brad, for being part of the show. We this is the guy, guys. He's always in the comments. So
yeah,
always in the comments.
So thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it. What do you
Frank
got?
definitely come down for a consumer training.
Yes. Yeah. That's it, guys.
There
That's
will be
all we got. What? Say it.
I said there will be a consumer training at some point. We're just gonna, want to make sure we get our dealers in first, and then there will be a consumer training.
Never ends. Never ends. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for spending your time with us here on Monday. Thanks, Brad and Brian, for coming in and spending their time with us. We hope you guys go forth to be married. Don't worry, this Saturday will be the last live show for 2025. We're going to have our good friend, Mr. Jeff Smith, on talking about whatever he comes up with. I'm guessing it's going to be Helix or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But that's it. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you later next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.